PLI scheme. So we have two speakers today in the webinar. The first one is Mr. Vineet Darda. So to introduce Vineet to the community, Vineet is a highly qualified professional with 15 years of industry and consulting experience in tax and regulatory services. His contribution at the Big Fours has enabled Vineet gain the nuances of the various tax laws, foreign trade policy, SEZ, EOU, etc. So Mr. Vineet would be getting further on the PLI scheme. And our second speaker is Mr. Gubba Kiran. Gubba Kiran is the CEO of Gubba Pharma Cold Storage. And he would be talking about preservation of APIs in the cold storage. How critical is API preparation be possible in a cold storage? So over to Mr. Vineet. I hand over the platform to you. You may please share your screen and start your presentation.
Thanks, Deepthi. Thanks for that, and thanks for introducing me to the today's webinar. And thanks, Kiranji, and obviously the way the industry matters today, whether pharma or any other industry, it all depends on how the way the government and the industry look for that. And it should not be only to the particular standalone industry, should be the end-to-end back-end supply chain, whether forward or back-end. And that's why we can see the way this scheme, a production-linked incentive scheme for pharma, for bulk drugs, for API, for key starting materials and drug intermediates has been introduced. Before we go into detail about the scheme.
Sir, your voice is little low. I mean, because you're the main speaker today. Thoda agar aap, yeah.
Am I audible now?
Little better than last 5 seconds.
Okay. So before we go in detail about the scheme, we would like to know first about that how the currently industry in India, the pharma industry operates and what's the parameters, why the government brought the scheme, and what steps needs to be taken by anyone who wants to apply for the scheme. Obviously, any scheme have their own challenges before it should be applied or not to be decided. Yes, we have a rosy picture about the pharma industry in India. Yes, we are the third largest and 13th largest in terms of value. We are completely satisfying the world to an extent along with China. And if you see combination of India and China, around 70% on generic drugs and other products. So India is leading in the formulations and the generic drugs. Yes, it used to be an API, but the way the cost and all has been impacted, and the way China has grown in the last 30 years, the API and all shifted back to India, China from India. And yes, if you see from the import side, India currently importing 68% of API from China. And that's the factor which decided whether the way the government should support the pharma industry. And if you see on the numbers, yes, if you can see on the screen, I will not go into numbers, but yes, in the formulation, India is leading, not in bulk drugs. And today's news in Economic Times, on 6th August, Mr. Trump has given the order where US will concentrate on having the local procurement of medicines, imports, all for the drugs. Obviously, it will have a high impact on the Indian pharma industry because US is the biggest market for India. And looking to that, any company who would like to invest in this current epidemic situation, especially in pharma, they need to look how the way they will cater to the US because they have to invest or they need to look into other factors so that US market should not be lose away. And second, the way India is promoting to have a back-end supply chain for the bulk drugs, how the best this scheme can be utilized to set up their own facility. So before I go on to scheme, story is in 1991, we were dependent on China only 0.3%. And the way the low cost of the API, which is around 30% lower than our cost, all procurement supply chain shifted to China. And the factors which helped China, which India should have also now, then only we can have, is ease of doing business, where we are still around 68 rank. Approvals are fast track, whether you see for a factory setup or for the other part. Your environment flexibility, where you're getting the faster approvals there. Regulatory approvals are faster in compared to India. Cheaper land cost, that is a one more factor which decide how the way industry set up, and the pharma industry needs adequate land to set up the facility. Power, and giving the concession to government. Along with, yes, there's one more infra. The way the last 40 years China invested in the infra, it has helped China to grow this sector in a faster way. And obviously we need the people like Gupta Cold Storage who can support the industry to have a more back-end supply chain infra also. So looking to all this, in 2015, it was declared as a year of API, but nothing moved, no support, it's only on paper. And the key strategy was first to talk to the doctors, advise doctors to reduce prescription of antibiotics which we procure from China, advise them to provide prescription for the antibiotics which India is the leader. And the third, which now government has taken a step, having schemes to encourage to have more bulk drugs manufacturing also in India, apart from concentrating on formulations. So looking into all the past, now we are where in the, even before the lockdown started in India, on 20th March, Union of Cabinet from Department of Pharmaceutical, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers approved the schemes. Initial approved schemes for 2, and then it further moved to 4 schemes. And the initial notification came in May. And the plan was to apply in 120 days from May. So it's already expiring in August. So again, government has taken a feedback from industry, and then finally the final notification issued in 21st July and guidelines on 27 July 2020. So now there are 4 schemes for pharma. First one is for production linked incentive for KSM, DI and API today, which we will discuss in detail, for mainly the large scale domestic manufacturer in 4 segments, having 41 eligible products for 53 API, KSM and DI. PLI for medical devices, yes, India is again 85% dependent on imports. For that, government would like to even promote an incentive for them. And then infra, which we're talking about. They want to set up park for a bulk drug park around 4, around 3, and the medical devices around 4. That's all about the schemes which government has notified and issued the guidelines. And the total incentive which they would like to provide around 14,000 crores in next 4 to 6 years to pharma and medical device industry. So before I start on detail about the scheme, I would just like to give a glimpse. This PLI scheme is more like a post-production scheme, and the same already implemented from the Ministry of Electronics and IT. And within 4 months, they got 22 applications from number of players would like to set up the electronics, mobile manufacturing or electronic component industry. So we have a live example where this scheme can be succeed. And yes, it can help India to become a manufacturing hub, whether we see from electronics or pharma or any other sector. And similar schemes would also come in the other sectors too. So now let's come on the main topic today on the current scheme, how the scheme works, what are the key conditions, whether people will be able to satisfy or not, and key challenges. One thing I would like to clarify, in India, bulk drugs are dominated by MSME sector. So you can assume the scheme should have supported even for a lower investment. But if you will see in this sector, you want to have a large scale manufacturing setup. So maybe all MSME would not come into the eligibility criteria too. So here incentive will be given after investment made for two range of product. One is for the fermentation based products and the chemically synthesis eligible products. Total 41 products they identified based on various key API, KSM and DMs. For fermentation based eligible products, you will have the benefit for 6 years on the turnover which you make year on year, and it will be only incremental turnover. You need to see your turnover of FY 1920, that will be the base year. On that base year, whatever incremental sales you make from a new facility, that will be incentivized for next 6 years. For fermentation, it will be 20% for 4 years, 5th year will be 15, and drastically it will come down to 5% on 6th year. You can imagine, government is reducing the incentive once they see the industry is getting into the matured stage, they are stable, they are able to make a sales. The second sector is chemically synthesis eligible product. Again, the benefit is for 6 years and the flat rate is 10%. And if you see the relevant period, today we are in 2021. They are given 2 years grace period for fermentation base. So incentive will be from 23 to 24. And for chemically synthesis eligible product, it will be from 20 to 23. It means only 1 year they are given to set up the facility, and then incentive will be given for 6 years. Now come question, are you eligible or not? It's a big question under the scheme. Why I'm telling, the multiple conditions needs to be satisfied by every applicant. And please note, this scheme is not applicable to everyone. It's like a bidding process. Whoever done the best bidding on the sale price, he will be the winner. So everyone applies and satisfying the condition will not be eligible. So first condition is, it's only for manufacturers who are registered in India. In case anyone from outside would like to set up a facility in India, first they need to be registered and they have to identify a number of conditions before having this benefit under policy. Investment. So you need to make an investment first, then only the production turnover based incentive will come. And investment threshold is minimum 20 crore to 400 crore, range on various products, 41 products. And if you go in detail, you see they divided into 4 range sectors. Key fermentation based product, which have the highest turnover limit for the investment limit of 400 CR. And if you see the third column, your production capacity should be in metric tons and the number of applications will be only 2 per product. For niche fermentation product, the investment is the 50 crore minimum and the production capacity start from 2 ton to 450 tons. Again, 2 application per product is eligible. For chemical synthesis, 4 applications per product, 50 CR is the investment limit and 1500 is done. Please note, the investment and the production capacity are interlinked. In case you quote in multiples of production, your investment should be also in that multiples. So both are interlinked to each other. And for other chemicals, its investment is 20 crore. It's the lowest amount for that chemical synthesis product. And again, for every product, maximum applications are 4 per product. So these are the investment limit, production capacity limit, and the number of applications anyone can apply. Now comes, what is the threshold investment covers? You can cover your all plant, machinery, equipment, associate utilities, capex on new R&D. Existing R&D you cannot cover up in this investment limit, and also on building. So building, P&M, R&D, associate utilities are covered. What is not covered is any non-creditable taxes will be covered. Land shall not be covered. Even you are taking on the outright purchase or lease, it will not be counted for investment limit. And the very important point is all machinery should be new. There is no cap, no limit for second-hand machinery or a used machinery or a refurbished machinery. It means you will need a even chartered engineer certificate for that to satisfy yes, all are new machinery. Building includes all relevant infra, but does not include any luxury facility or office facility within the campus, even a guest house and all. But if you see the associated utilities, the coverage is very high. It covers from clean room to temperature control system, ETP, your tanks, treatment, any water sewage line, LPG storage tanks, warehousing. Very important. Where it's a very important role can be played even by the Gubba storage, where the warehousing part, whether within the same campus or it will be allowed outside campus, not decided. But yes, warehousing will also be covered here. The third important condition is your back-end supply chain should be in India for minimum 90% for fermentation product and 70% for chemical synthesis. So it means I need to see whether which product I am applying, whether the raw material for that product is available in India or not. If not, then I have to also ensure others also produce, and it should be minimum 90. If you see even the country of origin under the free trade agreements, the maximum is 35%. And here they've taken 90%. The objective is the forward supply chain and the back-end supply chain should be from India. Minimum 90 for fermentation and 70 for chemical synthesis products. And value addition, it's a based on need sales turnover. They will take you 100 value rupees. Any raw material which you are buying from outside India will be reduced, and that will be decided whether you are satisfying the condition of domestic value addition or not. Now about the net worth. It's a compulsion condition. If you are not satisfying and you're satisfying other condition, you are out. So it means any new company having a basic capital and all, they are not eligible. So net worth, you can count even of the group companies amount also, and then it should be minimum of 30% of investment you're proposing. If I'm going for a fermentation based product where the minimum investment is 400 CR, I have to have the net worth minimum of 30%. And question comes, what covers in net worth? So it covers your paid up capital, your reserves, your profit balance, any debit in P&L will be reduced, losses will be reduced, and intangible assets. So any goodwill and all will not be counted for deciding net worth. The norms are very stringent, and if this condition is not satisfied, you are not eligible for the scheme. You should not be declared bankrupt by any bank or FI or NBFC. Other important thing is it should be greenfield project. If I am an existing company, I have to buy a land and set up the new production facility. Or in case I have the existing facility and I have the additional land, on that land I can put a new plant. So new land purchase completely greenfield is allowed. And in the brownfield, if you have the vacant land, that also you can use for having the new plant. In all the conditions, it should be a greenfield project. So I told you about backend supply chain having domestic value addition of 90 and 70. And now you are eligible for the incentive only on your domestic sales. If you are doing exports, not eligible. If you are doing a domestic sales, eligible. In case anyone is planning to make an investment in such a huge way, they need to have the plan to have a sales to Indian consumers only. Now question comes, if I would like to have a captive consumption. The answer is yes. Any sales or a captively consumed product is used for further new product, it can be considered for this incentive. So we discussed about the number of applications, 2 to 4, and total is 136 applications. So we can assume China now have around 7,000 API plants or a factory setup. India have 1,500 only, and government is only giving incentive for 136 applications. So just imagine, it will take years to reach or to match the China's competency and the pricing. Yes, the last date is 24th November, and today already 18 days are gone. So today we are discussing already the last date is gone for the reverse counting, and you can just imagine the way the conditions are there. You need to satisfy all this and then go for that. Now we will discuss the criteria. If you're eligible and satisfy the condition and you apply, whether you will be selected or all will be selected, that we will discuss now. So everyone will be ranked. So they have put a criteria. Criteria is, I have to commit an annual production capacity, and I have to quote a price for a product for which I am going to invest. So maximum point is for the quoted lower sale price. If you are quoting a lower sale price, then you will get 65 and other will get proportionate. And for annual production capacity on higher side, that will get 35 and other will get proportionate. If you see this table here, 3 people applied in assuming, and applicant A got 35 because he got a higher capacity, other one 23, another 11, because it's proportionate to the highest quantity quotation. Now we come to the marks. Whoever got the lower price will get the highest. Applicant C got 65 because his price is lowest for his product, and it will be only for same product. It will not be mixed with the other product by applying. Applicant B is getting 43 and 32, and total of C is higher. Even the applicant A got in the category A higher, but if you see in total, applicant C is getting the highest mark, so he will be selected, and other will be in the wet listing or will be denied the permission. So number of applications are limited, which we have seen it, and it will be also.
Vineet, are you back?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible now.
I think so, maybe connectivity issue.
Yes, there's a connectivity issue. Yeah, you can go ahead, Mr. Vineet.
Yes, can you see my screen here?
Yes, yes, we can see the screen.
So if you can see the maximum incentive they given for 4 sectors product, so any application applied for, whether 2 or 3 or 4, application will be maximum 2 or 4, and incentive will be maximum for the 6 on the based on the products. So for all this range, it cannot go beyond that. So you can see the number of conditions are put down to be eligible for that. Now another important condition, in case 2 people selected and the quoted sale price and the selection criteria both are same marks, then who should be selected? So whoever have quoted lowest sale price that will get the chance to apply and get the incentive. Now, again comes the quoted sale price is lower for both. In then comes, it's very, if you remember your 2G case where they told whoever apply for spectrum, whoever come first, he will get it. It became a big corruption issue. You can see here also, I think first come, first serve basis. Even the other person is applying and having the better net worth and all, but I applied first, I will be selected for the scheme and the second one will be not. So it's completely giving the discretion to the officers and the empowered committee and the project management authority. Last but not the least, any government sector entity, if they apply, they will get the priority. So if you can see, selection criteria has some number of factors, number of conditions. So anyone is applying should not assume they will get the approval. It's a completely stringent norm, like a bidding process, to be eligible or not. So we have already taken the example. I will not go into that. So other aspects which are important, you can apply for more than one product. Accordingly, your investment should be matching with the annual production capacity. And looking to the two segments, that's why what we even already mentioned, the 2-year gestation period given for the fermentation pest product and 1 year for the chemical synthesis product. And very important, you can also apply for state incentive, your SEZ benefits, for foreign trade policy benefit, your income tax benefit of lower rate. All this continues. This scheme is not impacting any other incentive or benefit you're taking under any other law. It's a standalone incentive add-on to the what you are going to get from other ministry or state department or governments. And please note, they have given relaxation for the domestic value addition for fermentation only up to 80%. You can go down to 80% for one particular year. And for chemical synthesis from 70 to 60%. In case you go for that, your incentive will be 50% only for a particular 12 months period. You can decide which period you want to have, but beyond that, they will not allow condition to be not matched. And this condition to be proved whenever you are applying for the incentive. Now question comes, how you can apply for the incentive and how it will be computed. So we discussed, you will have quoted a quoted sale price. For example, I quoted 100 rupees, but looking to market, I am selling at 150. Or if I see I am a captive investor and I will consume it, and it will be consumed at 80 rupees. In the first scenario, I will get my incentive 20 or 5 or 10 at 100 rupees, not on 150. Whatever sale price you make, the actual sale will not make you getting the additional incentive. It is already fixed. The day you get your approval, the amount or its sale price will be mentioned in the order. Now, if you talk about the second scenario, where your captive consumption and you are making it at 80 rupees, your cost of production, then the cost of production will be considered for the purpose of incentive and not the quoted sale price. So whether you are putting a new facility to a B2B sale or you are putting the facility for your own purpose, incentive will be limited to quoted sale price or actual cost of production, whichever is lower. That's about the scheme. Now, yes, now you would have known whether your company can apply or satisfying the condition or not. So now, important thing is what steps to be taken by any company to apply for the scheme. Obviously, first thing is identify your product, whether you want to apply for one product or multi-product. Who are your competitors? It's very important. you are not going to get a approval just because you're satisfying all the conditions. You need to understand the market scenario. Who are the leading players? Who can quote the best price? And accordingly, the incentive will be decided and your approval will be decided. Being the number of condition and net worth is the compulsory condition, you need to look into it whether you are satisfying that condition or not. Net worth, I already told you, you need to satisfy as a group. It's a plus one benefit. As a group, you can satisfy. And please note, intangible is not part of net worth computation. You need to decide your back-end supply chain because domestic value addition is around 90% or 70%. And obviously, local sale. It means I cannot depend on the overseas market either for a procurement or for sales to get the incentive of the scheme. You need to pay a fee, whether selected or not, it will never be refunded to you. Investment threshold. You have 20 crore minimum and 400 crore for every respective product. You need to satisfy whether which product you are going and how much investment you're doing. And please note, you need to close your financial closure. You should have money in your pocket or your commitment from a banks or any fund house or anyone. That also will be the look into it. Or the sale price, the best you quote, the best chances you are. If you forget all the condition, that condition should be looked into before even applying for the scheme. Your revenue and employment generation, that also will be looked into. How the way you are satisfying the country's economy. Because the government has seen when the India moved from local procurement to import to China, India lost tax and the employment generation both. Domestic value addition computation and cost disclosure. DPR, detailed project report with techno-economic viability of the project. If you are not making a proper DPR with the complete details and all, because this is different from a project report. DPR is completely in detailed, comprehensive, and that should cover each and every aspect to say whether you are eligible for investment and can look for further. All license from government, third party needs to be summarized and timing for getting it. Your implementation plan, how will you do it and whether you will able to implement or not within time limit. All your legal and financial cases currently pending on you. You need to give detail of each and every department, whether central, state, or any local municipal party, panchayat level and all in the application. You need multiple certificates from statutory auditor, chartered accountant, company secretary, cost and management accountant, chartered engineers before applying for the scheme. And last but not least, which I already mentioned, financial closure. That also needs to have before having the even application ready. So I know now the scheme, I know the eligibility condition, I know what steps needs to be taken. Now question, what is the complete steps government will take when you apply? So you need to apply to PMA, a project management authority. They will see whether completion is complete or satisfying the condition. If you are satisfying, they will issue the acknowledgement, otherwise not. Then they will give their own recommendation to empowered committee. An empowered committee will decide whether you will get approval or not based on their internal discussion and deliberation. They will give 2 waitlisted applications and the 1 final selected application. And accordingly, approval order will be issued to you by a project management authority. Then you need to give a bank guarantee of 1%. Then you need to make investment. Once you make investment, start your production. Once you start production, then apply half-yearly or yearly for incentive to government. And again, you need to give number of certificates, your domestic value addition, your other aspect under each and every application. And then only the project management authority, based on recommendation of empowered committee, will release the fund to you.
Vinit ji, sorry to interrupt, but considering the time constraint, I request you to.
I will take 5 minutes more. It's already on the last words.
Okay, got it, sir.
So it's all about a scheme, and I will do challenges which any applicant may face. Start with, we start talking about the scheme. 18 days are gone. Online portal not yet launched, so you need to apply physically to Delhi Department of Pharmaceutical Office. PMA not yet finalized. Under MeitY, PMA is IFCI. In same way, even DOP can decide, but till not, it's not finalized. Incentive will be granted, but if the actual production is lower, whatever based on your commitment, whether it will impact your investment, no clarity in the guidelines. The main thing is discretion of PMA and EC. It's a very big part which will decide whether you will get the benefit or not. You have to make investment in the multiples of your production capacity. Gestation period of 2 or 1 year is very low in my view. Look into current epidemic situation, it should have been increased. Otherwise, it will not be a viable scheme for people to apply. Bank guarantee of 1%, again, it's a unnecessary aspect, and if you are not starting production or making investment minimum 10% to 90% of the commitment, they will invoke your bank guarantee. Domestic value addition that you need to prove every time when you apply for the scheme. And yes, government has already done so much marketing. They are planning to increase the basic custom duty on the bulk drugs to 10 to 15%. So from end to end, government is pushing industry to, yes, make in India for all these products. And yes, being it's a complicated scheme and need a DPR and a financial projection, and being we are serving the number of industry on this, yes, we can help you. And that's all from my side. And I will request Kiranji to take now further, and you can take Q&A after Kiranji have their own aspect to discuss into. Thanks, sir. Over to Kiranji.
Thank you, Sirji.
Now we will start with the question and answer session. Since the time is limited, I request people to be quick in their questions. So I have unmuted Mr. Vasudeva Reddy. Please unmute yourself and ask the question. You have raised your hand.
Deepti, there are 2 queries who came in Q&A. Can we take it first if Vasudevji are not there?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, first question from Ratna is production capacity for individual applicant or all applicant together in that category. Please note they have given the link between the production capacity and investment. So anyone is applying for that particular product, he needs to have minimum that capacity in the investment. It's applicable for each applicant. So whether I apply 2 people or 5 people, everyone has to satisfy that condition, then only they can apply. Another query which is from Wolfgang Eger, is it possible to apply to the PLI scheme as a consortium, joint application of group of companies? So they have given definition of applicant under guidelines. It covers any proprietor or a LLP or a partnership firm or a company. So whether you apply as a SPV or you apply as a JV, but it should be with the legal entity what they defined it. In that way, you need to take my answer on that.
I think Deepti Vasudeva Reddy is online.
Yeah, sir. My question to you, sir, Kiran, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, should we construct a new facility starting from scratch and then manufacture, then only this kind of incentive is applicable, or within a existing brownfield facility, should we make use of a entire production facility to produce this kind of product which is listed in the gazette, and then can we apply for the incentive?
Should I take this question, Kiran?
Obviously, sir, it's for you.
Sure. So, Vasudevji, the scheme is only for a greenfield project.
Okay.
So, greenfield project is completely reverse of the brownfield project or a cluster. So, what benefit they have given? Either should be a new production facility on new land purchase, or you have an additional vacant land in the current facility, and in that current facility, on that land, you can put a new plant. The new plant under existing facility is allowed under the scheme, or a new production facility separately on the new land.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Deepti, there is one more question there.
I don't see Kiran.
About is it possible to apply for PLI scheme as a
That I
consortium?
have taken.
Okay.
That is addressed.
Okay.
Yeah, great. So again, considering the time as well, it's 3:58. So it's time where we have come to the end of this webinar.
One more query, Deepti, we will take this.
Last query?
Yes.
Only on your request.
Okay. So, Mr. Prasad Rao, is the intention of the scheme to meet the domestic demand? Yes, the intention is to have a complete supply chain. And obviously, even Kiranji can highlight, yes, they want to have a complete supply chain from a backend, the manufacturer, and the customer. All three, they are looking mainly into India. That's the objective of the scheme. Over to you, Deepti.
Great. So thank you, Vineet, for that extra, that last minute coming up to address a question that really talks about you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepti.
Yes. And so here we have come to the end of the session, end of the webinar. And we cannot complete this webinar without thanking a group of people who have really made this possible. And the first one is for the attendants, for the participants who have for their active participation and listening. Then to the speakers, Mr. Vineet and Kiran. So thank you, Vineet, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your research, and for sharing your advice. We got your commitment that you want to make a difference to the pharma fraternity, and thank you so much. And Kiran, thank you so much for educating the people, for educating the pharma industry about the importance of API preservation and how Guba Cold Storage does that. And last but not the least, thank you, Team Guba, which includes Naveen and Rajkumar, for supporting us at the back end in various activities. And special thanks to the customer development team, which includes Shravani, Sampath, Santosh, Prashant, and Ravi. Without their efforts, this contribution wouldn't have been possible. This contribution might not have reached you. Thank you. And with this, I declare the webinar complete. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.